Star Wars The Clone Wars is sometimes dismissed by some so-called Star Wars fans as a kids show, and indeed, it was created to serve such a role. But as the themes of the show got darker, the show also became less tame, and so you can find many moments from the show that make you question why it was considered to be for kids. We've done a whole video on this topic before, which I suggest you check out before watching this one, but there's simply so many scenes that the topic warrants a part 2. This first one isn't really a scene per se, but rather a whole episode. Like the Zygerian arc, which we mentioned in part 1, Innocence of Ryloth had quite a dark theme when you think about it, and not something you'd expect in a kids show. In the episode, the plot revolves around destroying a group of proton cannons based in the bombed out ruins of a Twi'lek village. But there's a complication. The inhabitants of the village have been rounded up and set around the cannons as living shields.
Watch O'Neill! Watch O'Neill!
Commander, we have a problem. The Jedi is freeing the prisoners.
I don't know about you, but from my point of view, this is darker and more brutal than many of the lightsaber kills in the show. The devastation caused by war in the episode is very realistically portrayed, and does and should hit home. But more importantly, the concept of living shields is rightly horrifying to most people, and it's far too dark for most kids shows. Next up, we have another scene that's not really thought of much, from the finale of Season 4. While out to seek revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Maul and Savage Opress come to Raydonia, a remote planet in the Outer Rim. There, they slaughter most of the innocent civilians in the village, and take the rest as hostages to draw Kenobi out.
There will be more innocent blood on your hands, Kenobi, unless you come here, face me. Come alone, and if you do not, this world will burn.
I have to go.
But here's the worst part. When Kenobi arrives, there are no hostages to be found. This isn't explicitly mentioned in the episode or commented on much, but if you look back on it, there are very clearly no civilians left, which means that Maul got bored and decided he was going to kill off the innocents essentially for fun. This is even worse than the slaughter of the rest of the village. He had already lured Kenobi when he killed the hostages, which means he had no reason, however warped, to do so. This one wasn't completely shown on our TVs, but the screen makes the implication quite clear and quite horrifying. While escaping the Citadel in Season 3, Obi-Wan's team is making its way through the ventilation shafts when they are caught by a probe droid and encounter a series of steel doors that begin to close through the shaft. Obi-Wan and his clones manage to get between the doors, but one clone isn't so lucky.
Security doors, move or you'll be cut in half!
Obi-Wan clearly says that the doors will cut you in half here, and that poor clone learned that the hard way. Unable to climb up in time, he found himself caught, and though the death wasn't seen, his scream was definitely heard as the doors killed him in one of the most horrible ways possible. This isn't made any better when Even Peel cuts through one at the end, revealing that the doors are quite thick, which would have made it even more painful. It's one thing when the antagonist of a show makes a brutal move, but it's even worse when the hero's responsible. In this episode from Season 4, Ahsoka becomes entangled with the Death Watch and eventually becomes entangled, literally. Sorry, but the pun had to be made. It is at this point in the fight that R2 gives Ahsoka her lightsabers, and she decides to take out her opponents in a very much not Jedi approved manner.
Thanks, buddy.
Stop! The Jedi is mine.
Lux, get to the ship.
It's almost out of shot, but you can actually see a bit of their heads rolling off the 4 poor Death Watch soldiers as the camera pans in this scene. And to those who know their EU, this is even worse. Since lightsabers cauterize wounds, these soldiers were all still conscious for 15 minutes after this bit of brutality. Ouch. And lastly, we have a scene so brutal that Cartoon Network censored part of it. In this scene, Darth Maul, Savage Opress, and Pre Vizsla have come for an audience with the Black Sun's leaders, requesting that they join the newly founded Shadow Collective. When the leaders refuse, Maul gives them a last warning, at which point they all stand up and their head declares that they are the Black Sun, as if Maul didn't already know and it was an impactful statement. The response of Savage Press is top-notch brutality.
Quiet. We are the Black Sun.
Very well then.
For those who don't ever remember seeing part of that before, it's because Cartoon Network had them cut the shots that show the headless corpses of the Black Sun leaders collapsing. And that shot is quite possibly the most brutal of the entire show. The heads of the Black Sun all suddenly found themselves without their own, and as mentioned above, were left to consider this for 15 minutes following decapitation. There's not really much to say about this, the clips speak for themselves. Unfortunately though, the Black Sun leaders can't say the same. So that's another top 5 brutal moments that made us question why exactly the Clone Wars was made for kids. As I said earlier, there are so many more, and if you think we've missed some, do tell. There's a chance there might even be a part 3 here. Well, that's it for this video. But before you go, I have a question. Of all the ways to die in the Star Wars universe, is there a worse way than lightsaber decapitation in your opinion? And if so, what is it? Post your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyways guys, as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to chuck us a follow on Instagram and join our Discord for all the latest Star Wars news, discussions, and of course, memes. I hope to see you in the next video.